Welcome back, listeners. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Okay, good. So today we're heading to Arrakis. You know that desert planet from Frank Herbert's Dune?
Oh, Dune, yeah. Classic.
Yeah, we're going to really get into it. Like the planet itself, those awesome characters, and all those big themes like power and religion.
Ooh, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, it gets pretty deep.
It really makes you think, like how do we use the stuff we have? What makes a good leader? What happens when religion and politics get mixed up?
Oh yeah, it definitely makes you think about things. And it all starts on Arrakis, right? This crazy desert planet, giant sandworms, like no water, and then there's the spice, the most valuable thing in the universe.
It's amazing, this world Herbert came up with. So harsh, but so cool. I mean, the sandworms, the spice, even the Fremen who live there, it shows that life can make it anywhere, even in the toughest places.
Yeah, for sure. Makes you grateful for a glass of water, though.
Oh, definitely.
Speaking of water, the Fremen are, like, obsessed with it.
Yeah.
They have those still suits, and they share water after someone dies. It's their whole culture.
You actually see that kind of respect for water in places where it's scarce today.
Really?
Yeah, it makes us think, about how we treat our resources. What would we do to survive if things changed?
It's almost like Herbert was, like, warning us, like hidden inside this adventure story.
Yeah, exactly. But there's more to it than just survival. Arrakis is important because of the spice, it makes space travel possible. And it can even make you live longer.
Right. That's why everyone wants it, which is where the Atreides family comes in. Duke Leto, his concubine, Lady Jessica, and their son, Paul. They're given Arrakis, but it's a trap. The Harkonnens, their enemies, set them up.
Talk about walking into danger, right? It's this classic power struggle, but Herbert makes it so much more. The characters are amazing. Duke Leto trying to do right by his people. Lady Jessica with her Bene Gesserit secrets, and the power to mess with your mind. And Paul, caught between destiny and his own powers.
Yeah, and Paul has those visions, right, of the future. That adds a whole other level to the story.
Oh, for sure. It's like Herbert is saying, even if you can kind of see the future, you can't be sure what'll happen. It's all about choices.
And some of those choices in Dune are brutal. The Harkonnens totally betray the Atreides. And they have help from you, the Suk doctor, their own doctor. The attack is awful. The Duke, he doesn't make it.
Oh, it's heartbreaking to think what Paul and Jessica went through. Losing their home, their people, betrayed by someone they trusted. It says a lot about how loyalty can be broken and how much betrayal hurts.
Yeah, makes you wonder who you can really trust when everyone wants power.
It's a big question, isn't it?
And Yua, he wanted revenge, but he also made sure Paul and Jessica could escape. So is he a bad guy? Or more complicated than that?
Sometimes it's not so clear, like good or bad. He shows how messed up motivations can be. Love, loss, they can make people do crazy things.
So true. So now Paul and Jessica are alone in this massive desert. They have to rely on what they know and their training just to stay alive.
And then they run into the Fremen. They're taken in by Stilgar's siege, but it's not exactly a party. Paul has to prove he belongs. He even fights a Fremen named Jameis to earn his place.
Wow. But then he actually starts to like their culture, right?
Yeah.
He becomes one of them mud deep. He even does that water sharing thing after he beats Jameis.
Paul was trained by the Bene Gesserit, right? They're all about adapting and understanding other people. So he sees how strong the Fremen are, how connected to Arrakis they are. He starts to see a future for himself, not as an Atreides Duke, but something else.
Yeah, and his training and those visions give him a real edge. The Fremen start to think he's the Lisa Nagabe, their prophesied leader. And get this, they even teach him how to ride sandworms.
Can you imagine Paul on a sandworm? It's like he's mastered the desert. He's become one of them. And it's a sign of how powerful he's about to become.
Right. But is he, like, fulfilling a prophecy? Or is he making it happen the way he wants?
Oh, that's what keeps it guessing. It's fate versus free will, He's heard all the Fremen stories and prophecies, but he also has his own plans and goals.
For sure. And we'll see those goals have consequences. Not just for Arrakis, but for the whole universe.
Yeah. Big consequences.
But before we get to that, let's zoom out a little. Talk about the politics in Dune, because it's more than just Paul the Fremen. You have the Baron Harkonnen, always scheming, his nephew, Feyd-Rautha, wanting power, and then there's the Emperor himself.
Oh, yeah, lots going on there.
The Baron, he's like your classic villain. Cruel, greedy, just wants more power. and his nephew's just like him.
Yeah, but there's more to them than that. The Baron, he's like the old way of doing things, brutal, taking advantage of others. It doesn't work in the long run. And Feyd-Rautha, he's vicious. Yeah, but he's smart, ambitious. He's a different kind of danger to Paul.
Yeah, they're like different paths to power, both with their own risks and rewards.
And then you have the Emperor arriving on Arrakis. He's a master at playing the game, adds a whole other layer of attention.
Didn't it seem risky for the Emperor to like go to Arrakis? It's already so unstable, especially with the Fremen and their Messiah.
Oh, for sure. He's not stupid. The Emperor's worries about the Harkonnens. And he's interested in Paul and all that's happening. He's a player in this game, too. And his arrival, it throws everything up in the air. It's like watching a game of space chess. Every move changes everything. And there are these unseen forces at play, too. We can't forget about the Bene Gesserit.
Oh, right.
They've been, like, controlling bloodlines for ages, trying to create this Kwisatz Haderach.
That super being who can see, like, all of time and space?
Exactly. They wanted to control the future.
Wow.
But then Paul shows up with his own powers, his prescience.
He messed up their plans.
Yeah, he kind of did. He's got this level of awareness that they didn't see coming. It's this battle between free will and these powerful groups trying to control everything.
It's crazy. And his own mom, Jessica, she's Bene Gesserit, right? But she disobeyed them. Had Paul instead of a daughter.
Sure.
Maybe she saw something special in him. Or maybe it was just, a mother's love. But it changed like every...
It did. Jessica's choices had huge consequences. Even the Bene Gesserit couldn't fully control what happened. It shows how one person's actions, even out of love, can completely change history.
And it's interesting how Herbert takes these personal stories and weaves them into this big, epic space opera thing. It makes it, feel real, even with the sandworms and spaceships.
Oh, for sure. And those personal stories, they give us some of the best insights into the book.
Like what?
Well, like Princess Irulan's writings.
Oh, right. Paul's wife?
Yeah, she writes from this place of power, but there's also this distance. Like, she doesn't fully get Paul. She's trying to understand what happened, what kind of man he's become.
Yeah.
Her perspective helps us understand Paul's journey better. We see him from the outside, through someone who's close to him, but also really far away.
And it's a really revealing moment when the Baron Harkonnen has to answer to the Emperor. He's scrambling, trying to explain what happened on Arrakis, but the Emperor is furious. Spice production's messed up. His authority's been challenged. It shows that even the most powerful people have to answer for what they do.
Yeah. But sometimes that accountability comes in unexpected ways. The Emperor, he's suspicious of the Bene Gesserit. He blames them for all the chaos. Classic case of someone in power, passing the buck.
Shiving them the blame.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to keep control.
And then, oh man, there's this chilling scene where the Emperor brings out Alvia, Paul's sister. She's just a kid, but she's a prisoner now.
It's tough to see. She's a preborn, remember? So the spice affected her before she was even, born. She's got these special abilities.
But she's also really vulnerable.
Yeah, a symbol of the innocent people who get hurt in all this fighting.
And Paul doesn't even know she's been captured, right? He's focused on Arrakis, on making his power, solid.
Yeah, but then everything changes when he gets that messed up message telling him Alea's been taken and his baby son, Leto II, is dead.
Oh, that's awful. He loses so much.
It's a huge blow. It shows that even with his ability to see glimpses of the future, he can't control everything.
It's like all that work, all the sacrifices, and it leads to this.
Yeah, it's a real turning point. Paul's grief, it makes him even more determined, but it hardens him.
Makes sense.
He embraces his role as Muad'Dib, the religious leader, the emperor, but he also becomes more isolated.
Oh, yeah. And that feeling of being alone, it comes out even more when Gurney Halleck, his swordmaster, yeah.
He confronts Jessica. He thinks she's the traitor, the one who caused Duke Leto's death.
Right. Years of pain and wrong information, it all comes out.
It shows how even with all the big stuff happening, personal relationships are messed up by suspicion, betrayal, all the confusion of war.
Yeah. And Paul gets there just in time to stop things from getting worse. He insists that Gurney's loyal. It shows their complicated bond. Duty, affection, but also the scars from everything they've been through.
Those little moments, they balance out the big political struggles in Dune.
They make it real.
Exactly. They remind us that behind all the schemes and ambition, there are people dealing with loss, betrayal, just wanting to connect with each other.
So true. And speaking of connection, Paul and Chani, Their relationship changes after they lose their son. That shared grief, it brings them closer. Paul sees how wise and strong she is. He treats her like an equal, a partner.
Which is different from how a ruler usually treats his, concubine. Their relationship, it gives them both strength. It reminds them of the human bonds that help us get through tough times.
And amid all of this, all the politics and loss, there's this other thing happening. Arrakis, the planet itself, is changing. We see Pardo Kynes and his work, his vision to make Arrakis greener, create an ecosystem that can support itself.
Kynes is a really interesting guy. He loves Arrakis, not for the spice or because it's important for strategy, but just because it's Arrakis. He understands how this desert world works, and he wants to bring it to life.
That idea, taking care of our planet, understanding how everything's connected, that's a big deal today.
Definitely. And even though Kynes dies, his work sets the stage for what Paul will do later. Paul sees that Arrakis can be more than just a spice mine. It can be a living world.
I wonder if Herbert was trying to tell us something about how we treat our planet, our responsibility to protect it.
Yeah, it makes you think. And then there's the whole religious side of things, how Paul's rise is tied to the Fremen faith.
Right. The Fremen were like waiting for a Messiah, someone who represented their hopes and beliefs.
And Paul, with his visions and his understanding of their culture, he fit the role perfectly, whether he planned it or it just happened that way.
And it wasn't just the Fremen. Those excerpts about the Orange Catholic Bible and the Butlerian Jihad, they show how religion worked in this universe. There were people trying to bring all the different religions together. Yeah, to create one big faith.
But there was resistance, too. Some beliefs are just too strong to erase. It shows how religion can bring people together, but also tear them apart, how it can inspire hope and violence.
Yeah, just like in our world.
Exactly. We all need to find meaning to belong. But that can lead to good things and really bad things.
And in Dune, religion becomes this massive force. It drives the Fremen Jihad, this holy war that spreads across the galaxy. It changes the Imperium and puts Paul right at the center. He becomes like this legend, the Emperor God. Everyone worships him, but they're also like scared of him.
Yeah. And that's the thing about Paul's story. He gets all this power, but it costs him. The Jihad destroys so much. So many people get hurt. He's a symbol of hope for some, but for others, he's terrifying.
Do you think, like, he ever has regrets, knowing what the Jihad would do? Does that weigh on him?
Herbert doesn't really tell us. We're left with this really complicated character, a hero, but not perfect. He has to live with what he's done.
It's what makes Dune so much more than just, like, spaceships and fighting. It makes you think about what power really means, the dangers of fanaticism, and what it means to be a leader.
It makes you look at your own choices, even if they're not galaxy-changing choices. Do we do what we think is right, even if it hurts someone? How do we balance our own goals with what other people need?
Yeah, those are questions that still matter today, just like when Herbert wrote Dune, and that's why it's still such a powerful story. It gets people talking.
And don't forget, this is just the first part of Dune. There's so much more to this world, so many stories to discover in the other books.
So if you're looking for a book series that will like challenge you, make you see things differently, and really make you think, Dune is it.
Yeah, it might even make you question your own choices, your own path, in this big, crazy universe.
So to wrap up our deep dive, we'll leave you with this. If Paul knew the Jihad would happen, was becoming mud deep the right thing to do, even if it was like the lesser of two evils? Or was it a huge mistake?
It's a tough question. Herbert, he's brilliant because he doesn't give easy answers. There's no, clear right or wrong. He gives us this complex character, a hero, but flawed, making tough choices when everything's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Paul, he starts with good intentions, but things don't always go as planned. It shows that even when we try to do the right thing, we can't always control what happens.
And that's something we can all, relate to as we go through life, making choices that shape our future.
Until next time, keep diving deep.